Hello again, here's another little video, this time on nouns and the noun group. The learning objectives are to gain an overall and initial understanding of what constitutes the noun group. It's also to gain an overview of the many different ways of constructing noun groups. And finally, you should learn new linguistic terms connected to nouns and the noun group. First, we have a very simple noun group, meaning the noun group only consists of one element. First, we found the subject, the verbal, and the subject complement, since are is a linking verb. And if we look at the noun group, since it's a simple noun group, there's only a head, and the material that makes up the head is a noun. Here we have a complex noun group. It's complex since the noun group consists of more than one element. To analyze this sentence, we first have to find the verbal. We ask with I or he. Seems is the answer, and seems is then the verbal. What seems, that would be the subject, and the subject consists of all of this, which is a very long noun group. When we look into the noun group, we'll see we have a head, man, that's the most important word, and it's a noun. Then we have a determiner, an article. We have a pre-modifier, quiet, which is an adjective. We have yet another pre-modifier, old, which is another adjective. Then we have two post-modifiers. The first post-modifier is a preposition group, in the blue suit. The second post-modifier is a relative subclause, who is drinking a glass of wine. If we analyze the preposition group, we have a preposition, and we have a preposition complement, which again is made up by a noun group. And in this noun group, we have a head again, which is suit, and the material is noun. We have a pre-modifier, it's blue, which is an adjective, and again we have a determiner, which is an article. If we look at the relative subclause, we have to start analyzing it again by finding the sentence constituents. First, we want to find the verbal, so we ask with I or who is, we ask I or he, and our answer is drinking. So is drinking makes up the verbal and consists of a verb group where we have a head, the main verb, and we have a pre-modifier, which is an auxiliary verb. Then we find the subject, who is drinking, and we have a dummy subject here. And the dummy subject is made up by a noun group. We have a head, which is a pronoun, and the reason why we call it a dummy subject is because who is actually dummy subject for the noun group that we saw previously. Then we have a direct object, a glass of wine, and the direct object consists of another noun group. Here we have two determiners. We have an article, a, and then we have another determiner which we call a quantifier, glass of, and then we have the head, which is wine. And now to the noun group. What does a noun group contain? Then a noun group contains a head. A head could be a noun, a proper noun, such as Copenhagen, Peter, or it could be a pronoun, such as he, she, etc. A noun group can have pre-modifiers that give additional information about the head, and pre-modifiers are always placed before the head, pre the head. Pre-modifiers can be adjective groups, present participles, and it can also be noun groups. Then we can have post-modifiers. Post-modifiers also give additional information about the head, and they're always placed after the head, post the head. They can be preposition groups, subclauses, noun groups, in, for instance, an apposition, adjective groups, and also actually adverb groups. Finally, we have determiners, and determiners help us determine the reference of the noun group. Determiners are often articles, pronouns, or numbers. For more information, you could look at the chart in Brunta and Brienne on page 236. Then we're going to go through the various elements in the noun group. First we have the head. The head consists of a noun, a pronoun. As we saw before, it could be a pronoun replacing a previously mentioned noun group. Could be it, he, or it could be who. Sometimes it can be adjectives. The blind seems to be very happy. It could also be numbers. The first. Next we're going to look at determiners. Only noun groups have determiners, and a determiner determines how we refer to nouns. We can refer to nouns definitely or specifically, and they can also show us whether we're talking about the singular or the plural. The most common determiners are the articles. The definite article, the, and the indefinite article, a or an. Pronouns, nouns, can also make up determiners, for instance specifying the genitive, this child's shoe, as well as quantifiers and numbers can function as determiners too. And again, you can have another look at the chart in Brund and Brian on page 236. Then we have pre-modifiers. Pre-modifiers are used to add descriptive and classifying details. They're used to express more nuances, and they're used to be more precise and specific about the head in the noun group. Always place pre before the head. Pre-modifiers mainly consist of adjectives, but they can also consist of present participles, such as a crumbling wall, which is the present participle, or the past participle, a stolen bike. Finally, pre-modifiers can consist of nouns, a country road. And again, if you want to see more about the orders of pre-modifiers, you could look at David Bristol on page 145. Then we have post-modifiers. Post-modifiers are also used to describe, classify, nuance, and give more precise and detailed information about the head in the noun group. They are always placed after, post the head, and post-modifiers are typically prepositional phrases, in the garage, non-finite subclauses, running away, or finite subclauses, who was running away. In some cases, post-modifiers can be adverbs as well, the way out, or adjectives, something different. Now we're going to dig into some examples of subclauses that can make up post-modifiers. First we're going to look at parenthetical post-modifiers. Parenthetical post-modifiers give us additional information about the head that has already been identified. For instance here, Michael Laudrup. Here it gives us additional information who is good at soccer. Parenthetical post-modifiers can be left out without causing confusion. Michael Laudrup is world famous. We recognize parenthetical post-modifiers in the following way. They might be surrounded by commas. They make up a separate tone group regarding intonation. Michael Laudrup, who's good at soccer, is world famous. We can insert by the way. Michael Laudrup, who's good at soccer, by the way, is world famous, and they're often found after proper nouns. Michael Laudrup is a proper noun. For more on that, you could look on page 239 in Brund and Brian. Then we have identifying post-modifiers. They are necessary for us to identify the reference of the head. We can recognize identifying post-modifiers in the following way. They're never surrounded by commas, which they are in Danish, or they might be in Danish. They do not make up a separate tone group. Today I met the boy who you mentioned on the phone. They cannot be left out without causing confusion as to the identification of the head. Today I met the boy. And if you want to see more about this, look on page 239 in Brund and Brian. Finally, I'm going to run through the functions of the noun group. A noun group can function as a subject. The man is nice as a direct object. I saw the nice man as an indirect object. I gave the man an ice cream as subject complement. He is a nice man as an object complement. The army made him a man as a preposition complement. I see potential in this man as pre-modifiers in other noun groups. She is a man-eater, or as we saw before, country road, as post-modifiers in other noun groups. I married Peter, a Norwegian. For more on that, you could look on page 241 in Brundt and Brian. Resources, as usual, Brundt and Brian, as well as David Crystal. Have fun with reading the rest of the chapter.